So yeah, today I will be reviewing this series. So yeah, I found this series because what I'm doing is when I'm watching Crunchyroll and anime, I sometimes watch Netflix, and then because I might want to actually watch some of these series because I originally planned to, but then Crunchyroll just took over everything, so I'm gonna watch them. So this series looked interesting because, you know, circle, magic, and this entire thing just looked awesome. And plus, this name was like, oh, maybe it's like a superhero thing. Yes, I guessed it was a superhero thing because it said soup and it had the letter E. Sometimes I am very simple and very dumb. But apparently I was somewhat on right. This is the idea of like, there's a sort of thing with people like discovering this latent gene that gives them this insane power and discovering what's going on. Because all I remember is the trailer, which essentially showed, and then the future. So obviously, one person goes into the future, sees all of them, and is like, oh, you have to find them to prevent this. It is so good and so interesting to see like how they need to find each other and what the powers are and what you can do, and like you can tell their emotions, what they want, what they sort of drive for, and it's really interesting and absolutely cool. So yeah, this is so cool. And also, I was about to put this in the spoiler territory, but because of the things that I have said before, that I don't consider, if it's in the trailer, I don't consider it a spoiler. I'm not gonna go back and be like rerun because I thought it was pretty good the way that I described where like, but I forgot that they say this in the trailer. So yeah, so it's one of those things where you go to the future and it's like they're trying to prevent a death in the future. But again, why is it in the spoiler territory? It doesn't count as a spoiler because it's in the trailer. So spoiler time. I love how they sort of see the powers and how they slowly reveal each one having the powers. And the one moment I love, which is so good, is there's a scene with sort of four of them have powers: an invisible one, super strength, wind like magic, and super speed. And you slowly see each one of them use their abilities. A gun gets fired off, and I think he goes invisible. The person picks up the safe to hold it to like make the bullet bounce off it. The other one uses wind to blow the wind away, and because the other one's so fast and is seeing all of this happen at such like a speed that he can like dodge it easily, you see all of them sort of demonstrating in a not like, oh, who will win, in like a sort of like, these abilities are awesome, but you see a sort of like them sort of like at that point knowing sort of a basic understanding of like strong things. I can use this to deflect the bullets. Wind blows that away as like a reaction, and the person realizing the bullet just dodges it, and it's so incredible the way that it sort of like looks at one person, pans to another, pans to another, and pans to another. I thought that was absolutely genius in like how it goes one, 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 one. Snap, 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 snap. It is so good. The one thing which I feel, and I might be wrong, but I don't know if this is either set in London or New York, because it has that like city feel. But again, I don't know if it's set in London or New York. I don't know. It's still interesting either way, so that's not the point. I think London because no, probably, I don't know. No, why am I saying that? Across the south of London. So it does place in London, and I'm just an idiot. But yeah. But I like that sort of like interesting look at the characters. And there's not many shows that I think have London, or maybe I'm wrong. If I am, give me an example. So yeah, before I say the conclusion, I did say like, oh, name me a series. I do know Doctor Who, at least the earlier versions, saw place in London, like David Tennant and Chris. I was the first Doctor, sort of like what people say, the Ninth Doctor and David Tennant's Doctor, both have a thing in London. Sarah Jane Smith also takes place in London, and I said I watched both of those. I do know that. And I know the current series does sort of take place in London. Also, it feels so weird going back to London when I think Matt Smith wasn't really in London. I don't know if Jodie Whittaker was in London. It seemed like it was out of London. Or maybe I'm different. And Chris and the one between Matt Smith and Jodie Whittaker also didn't feel like was in London. Maybe. I don't know. I might be insane. That's besides the point. Or maybe I'm just comparing like the way that they directed Sarah Jane Smith and it looked a bit different, like a little bit different editing. Because I like that sort of weird editing. It just has a fun nature to it. Anyway, I liked this sort of series. It's really good and I love it. It's amazing. So I hope you enjoy and good night.